They will tell you it's talent. They will whisper it's luck. They'll point to timing, to connections, to the illusion of an open door someone else happened to walk through. But they won't tell you the truth. Not because they're hiding it, but because most of them don't even know it. The truth is raw, unglamorous, often lonely. The truth is discipline. Not discipline as punishment, not discipline as control, but discipline as destiny, as self-mastery, as the conscious, relentless commitment to sculpting your life instead of waiting for someone else to hand it to you. Because in the end, it is not what you wish for that defines you. It is not what you dream or even what you love. You don't become your goals. You don't become your desires. You don't even become your potential. You become what you discipline. That's what separates the wanderer from the conqueror, the talker from the doer, the man who waits from the man who creates. Show me what a person is willing to suffer for daily, repeatedly, quietly, and I will show you their future. Ask Thomas Edison. 10,000 failures, and he kept showing up, not because he knew it would work, but because discipline demanded he try again. Ask Abraham Lincoln. Born into poverty, plagued by loss, mocked, doubted, defeated, and yet his will was not broken because discipline was stronger than despair. Discipline is the invisible thread between who you are now and who you could become. It doesn't shout, it whispers. Every morning when the alarm goes off, every evening when it would be easier to quit, every choice between comfort and growth. And it always asks the same question: what are you willing to become by what you are willing to endure? The world doesn't reward you for what you want. It rewards you for what you prove you can handle. So, if your mind is filled with envy for the greats, pause and ask, did you see their grind, their 5 a.m. runs before anyone woke up? Their hours behind closed doors, bleeding sweat into their craft? They were not born with more clarity. They just honored discipline longer than doubt. It begins in the mind, not the muscles, not the money. The mind, the battlefield of belief, the place where excuses are born and murdered in the same breath. Most people never win here. Not because they don't have the weapons, but because they never sharpen them. Every thought you entertain is either a tool or a trap. You either discipline your thoughts, or they discipline you. You feed the wolf of weakness, or you feed the lion of self-mastery. You want confidence? Master your mind. You want purpose? Master your hours. You want freedom? Then chain yourself to discipline, because paradoxically, it is only the disciplined who are truly free. We've been sold a lie that freedom means no rules, that greatness means effortless genius, that you can think your way into success, journal your way into clarity, meditate your way into mastery. But clarity is not given. It is earned through repetition, through consistent action, through showing up on the days you don't feel like it. The body learns, the mind follows. Because when you move, the fog clears. Discipline builds clarity not by thinking, but by doing. Walt Disney didn't see the castle clearly when he started. He was bankrupt, broken, fired for lacking imagination. But he moved anyway, step by disciplined step, sketch by sketch, idea by idea. Clarity came not before the effort, but because of it. Discipline creates vision. Because the more you show up, the more your direction sharpens. The more you sweat, the more your purpose speaks. The more you silence the noise of the world, the more you hear your own voice. Not the voice of the crowd, not the voice of your critics. Your voice, the one buried under the weight of laziness, fear, and distraction. Discipline is the hand that lifts that weight every single day. And what is vision without purpose? Just fantasy? Just mental theater? But vision with purpose? That's fire. That's destiny. That's when your life stops reacting and starts designing. Purpose is not discovered. It's revealed. And it's revealed in the mirror of your discipline. You find it in the discomfort you're willing to embrace, in the standards you refuse to lower, in the questions you won't ignore. Why am I here? What will I build? What will I leave behind? Andrew Carnegie didn't start with a plan to dominate steel. He started with discipline. A telegram boy with no fortune, no inheritance, no shortcut, But he had intention, he had obsession, he had purpose, and he let that purpose whip him forward every day. Purpose is discipline in motion. It's not romantic, it's not glamorous. It looks like saying no, like walking alone, like holding the line when everything inside you screams to let go. But that's where character is forged, not in the spotlight, but in the silence, not in the applause, but in the practice. Discipline turns movement into meaning, purpose into power. And every great act in history, from revolution to resurrection, from invention to redemption, has been built on the back of someone who refused to break their routine. You think discipline is boring? Look around. Look at the chaos of lives undisciplined, the dreams shelved, the bodies broken, the minds cluttered, the potential left rotting in the cellar of maybe tomorrow. That is not freedom. That is decay. But you still have a choice. You have time, you have breath, you have this moment, and if you take it, not just think about it, if you own it, not just admire it, then the path begins here. Discipline is not about perfection. It is about persistence. It is not about doing it all at once. It is about doing it when no one else is. You become what you discipline, not what you feel, not what you post, not what you plan, but what you do consistently, ruthlessly, relentlessly, until it becomes who you are. Because your future is not written in the stars. It is carved by your habits, hammered by your hours. And every swing of that hammer says, "This is who I am becoming." So what do you do when the excitement wears off? When motivation packs its bags and leaves you staring at the empty room of your ambition? That's where most people quit. That's where the dream becomes a ghost. Because they never understood. Discipline isn't built on fire. It's built on ashes. The ashes of who you used to be. The old version of you, the one who procrastinated, who needed a push, who waited for inspiration. That version has to burn. Discipline is the funeral and the rebirth. Every time you choose action over apathy, you're lighting the match. And yes, it hurts. Discipline will break your comfort. It will mock your excuses. It will drag you out of bed when the world tells you to sleep. But behind that pain is power. Not borrowed power, not given power, but earned. Power that becomes part of your blood. Henry Ford wasn't born with blueprints in his hands. He wasn't handed an assembly line from the heavens. He faced ridicule, setbacks, legal threats, but he kept moving. Because he knew systems don't build themselves. And dreams don't manifest in wishful minds. They manifest in disciplined hands. You see, greatness is not a lottery. It is a ledger. And every day you write your name in it through your habits. Discipline is identity in motion. Not identity as a label, but identity as a pattern. You train yourself into the person you claim to be, not by declaring it, but by proving it. You want to be an athlete? Show me your morning routine. You want to be a leader? Show me your self-control when no one's watching. You want to be a creator, a builder, a breaker of limitations? Show me how you suffer. Show me what you're willing to delay. Show me how long you'll stand alone in a world addicted to shortcuts. Because discipline is not popular. It never will be. In a culture built on convenience, your consistency will look radical. In a world that sells dopamine, your discipline will look like war. But it's the only war worth fighting. Because the reward is transformation. The reward is becoming. And that's the thing most people miss. Discipline doesn't just get you results, it changes who you are. It teaches your nervous system that pain is not the enemy, that routine is not a prison, that you are not fragile, you are forged. It rewires your brain. Every time you repeat the action, you reinforce the identity. And soon, what once felt impossible becomes second nature. You don't need to force it anymore, because now it's who you are. This is how champions are made. Not in stadiums, not on stages, but in the dark, in the quiet, in the repetition. And when the storm comes, when the winds rise and the critics scream and the world shakes, you won't panic. Because discipline makes you unshakable. You don't need to rise to the occasion. You fall back on your training. And if your training is soft, you will break. But if your training is built on discipline, on deliberate discomfort, then you don't just survive the storm. You walk through it because you've been through worse, because you've already paid the price in the currency of time, energy, and effort. And now it's compounding. Discipline is the ultimate investment. Every drop of sweat multiplies. Every early morning becomes interest on your potential. And every day you show up, even when you don't want to, you're building a legacy of endurance. You become undeniable. Not because you shouted the loudest, not because you were the fastest, but because you stayed. You stayed when it was boring, when it was hard, when it was lonely. You stayed when no one clapped, when no one believed, when no one noticed. And that is what makes you unstoppable. Discipline builds what talent can't. Discipline is the reason the tortoise beats the hare. It's why David beat Goliath. Because discipline aligns the mind, the body, and the spirit toward a singular goal and moves it forward regardless of mood, noise, or fear. And isn't that what we're here for? Not to be comfortable, not to be entertained, but to evolve, to rise, to transform raw existence into crafted excellence. So you ask, what should I do today? Discipline answers, exactly what you said you'd do. Nothing more, nothing less. And when doubt creeps in, when fatigue knocks, when life throws its chaos in your face, you don't run. You return to the path. You pick up the hammer, you take the next step. Because the destination was never the point. The becoming was. You become what you discipline. That's the law, that's the secret, that's the door you've been waiting to unlock. And the key has been in your hands the whole time. You see, the difference between those who leave a mark and those who leave a mess is not intelligence. It's not talent. It's the discipline to keep showing up when nothing is showing back. That's what makes a legacy. Not one grand moment, but thousands of silent ones. The meals skipped, the parties declined, the comforts sacrificed. While the world chases instant gratification, you chase something greater, the slow, unshakable satisfaction of becoming who you said you would be. This is where freedom lives, not in the absence of responsibility, but in the presence of mastery. Discipline isn't a prison, it's a passport to greatness, to peace, to truth, to the kind of confidence that isn't loud but immovable, the kind that comes from knowing you've earned your own respect, because that's the hardest thing to do, isn't it? We can earn money, we can earn applause, we can earn validation from people who don't even matter, but to earn your own respect, that takes something sacred. That takes the discipline to look at your own reflection and say, today I did not betray myself. And that is power no one can take. When your habits align with your purpose, when your actions mirror your values, when your choices echo your vision, there's nothing left to fear. Because you're not chasing anymore. You're embodying. You're no longer hoping the world gives you something. You are giving the world your transformed self, forged in fire, framed in focus, fueled by unbreakable intention. Look around you. The undisciplined suffer in ways the world pretends not to see. They suffer in regret, in mediocrity, in the haunting ache of what if. They drown in distractions, numb their potential with convenience, and die, not with a bang, but a whimper. But those who discipline themselves, they suffer too. Let's not lie about that. But it's a different kind of pain. It's the pain that builds, the burn that strengthens, the ache that adds meaning. It's the pain of becoming. And it is the most noble pain a soul can endure, because on the other side of that pain is freedom. Not the shallow freedom of doing whatever you want, but the deep freedom of becoming whoever you're meant to be. Every rep you push through when your muscles scream, every page you write when your mind is empty, every word you speak with integrity when silence would be easier, all of it is shaping you into something rare. Discipline is the sculptor, and you are the masterpiece in progress. You want to change your life? Change your disciplines. Not your goals, not your circumstances, Your disciplines change what you tolerate, what you say yes to, what you do first thing in the morning, what you do when no one is watching. That's where the shift begins. Most people wait for a sign, for clarity, for some divine permission to begin. But the truth is, discipline is the sign. Start moving, and clarity will follow. Start building, and confidence will bloom. Start enduring, and greatness will find you. Do not wait for the world to believe in you. Discipline yourself until you can no longer be ignored. That's how every legend was made. Muhammad Ali said, "I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." Ali didn't become the greatest because of his fists. He became the greatest because of his will. Because his discipline outlasted his fear, outworked his pain, outgrew his ego. And that's the choice that lies before you every single day. Not once, but over and over. Discipline is not a one-time event. It is a lifestyle, a devotion, a vow you renew in the mirror every morning. It says, "I will not be ruled by impulse. I will not be seduced by ease. I will not hand my future to laziness dressed as comfort. I will earn the life I want one disciplined step at a time." Because you don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your systems. And systems are not built on excitement. They are built on discipline. So while the world posts, you prepare. While others scroll, you study. While the masses sleep, you rise. Not because you're better, but because you are becoming. And you understand something they don't? That every small act of discipline is a rebellion against the mediocre, a protest against the wasted life, a revolution in your name. This is your edge, your armor, your code, and it must become sacred. You become what you discipline, not what you say, not what you imagine, but what you embody. What you do when the mood is gone and the pressure is on. That's who you are. And if you want to become more, if you want to outgrow your old story, your old habits, your old chains, there is only one path. Discipline. Not sexy, not loud, not easy, but real. And in this world, real wins. Because real doesn't beg. Real doesn't negotiate with weakness. Real doesn't bend when the world tries to break it. Real rises. And the only way to become real, unshakably, undeniably, indestructibly you, is through discipline. You must train your body to obey your mind. And you must train your mind to obey your vision. Not the vision you borrowed from the world, but the vision etched in your soul, the one that whispers to you when the lights go out, when the noise dies down, when the truth is all that's left. That vision demands sacrifice. Not just of time, not just of comfort, but of identity. You cannot become something greater while still clinging to who you've been. You must bury the version of you that waits, that hopes, that dreams but never does. And build, not find, build the version that earns. Because life does not give you what you deserve. It gives you what you demand through disciplined action. Think about every great life that has shaped history, from the innovators to the warriors, the poets to the prophets. Do you think they lived by luck? Number. They lived by principle, by resolve, by an unwavering commitment to the difficult. Discipline is what allowed Nelson Mandela to hold dignity in a prison cell. It's what allowed Beethoven to compose through deafness. It's what allowed Helen Keller to speak from silence, to teach from darkness. It is the essence of the human spirit, distilled into action, and it is yours. Not someday. Now, right here, in this moment, you are being asked to decide. Will you continue to drift? To repeat the same days, call them a life, and hope for more while doing less? Or will you rise? Will you choose the path of resistance, the one without applause, the one with no instant reward but infinite return? Because here is the truth. Discipline is not about doing what you love. It's about doing what you said you would do, long after the feeling has passed. It's about consistency over convenience, faith over fear, devotion over distraction. And there will come a day, mark my words, when the reward arrives. Not just in the form of success, but in the form of self. When you realize you no longer flinch in the face of difficulty, when you no longer collapse under the weight of your own weakness, when you no longer need to pretend because you have become, that moment is coming. And every moment of discipline is a step closer. Don't chase results, chase your rebirth. Don't worship the mountaintop, master the climb. Don't wish for motivation. Build rituals that defy resistance. Every breath is a chance. Every choice is a chisel. And your future is the sculpture hidden beneath layers of old habit. Carve with intent. Carve with courage. Carve with the conviction that this life, this one wild, fragile, sacred life, will not be wasted waiting. The clock is not your friend, but your discipline is your ally. So stand now, in the storm, in the noise, in the doubt, and declare not just who you are, but who you are becoming. Say it with your blood, say it with your steps, say it in your silence, and let the results speak for you. Let your name be written in the ink of endurance. Let your story be told not in wins, but in will. Let your legacy be built on days no one saw, but you lived with fire anyway. Because in the end, not all men are remembered. Not all dreams are fulfilled. Not all lives echo. But those who live with discipline, those who build with their backs and believe with their bones, those are the ones who endure. Long after the noise fades. Long after the trends rot. Long after the easy paths disappear. Their names, their work, their essence remains. Because they did not become what the world handed them. They became what they disciplined. And now so will you. So rise, move, hurt, build, repeat. Because from this day forward, you will no longer be a prisoner of your mood. You will no longer be a servant to your excuses. You will no longer wait for change. You will become it. You will build discipline like armor, wear it like skin, breathe it like air. And when the world asks who you are, let your habits answer. Let your work answer. Let your legacy scream it through time. You become what you discipline. And now you begin.